Hey everyone, my name is Ike. We're at the Bountiful Gardens greenhouse in Ewing, New Jersey. Let's take a look around. So we carry everything in here from ferns to philodendrons, all sorts of tropical plants, some Thai constellation monsteras. Carry fountains to keep it nice and tranquil in here. We have a huge succulent and cacti selection. We have everything from small sizes of cacti way up to ones that have been growing probably about 8 to 10 years as well. Tons of lizards to keep them company. We even have tropical foliage plants for bright light as well, like our Croton, which add a pop of color to your collection. If you get a nice bright sunny room and you're used to having a lot of succulents, a Croton is actually a great plant to pop in there. You probably noticed it's a bit like a jungle in here. We like to keep it that way. That way you have somewhere to escape to in the cold winter months. We have huge totem plants as well, like this Philodendron cordatum. It has really lush, deep green leaves in that beautiful heart shape. Really good to fill a large space in the home and freshen the air as well. We also have the ever popular Monstera deliciosa in small sizes, big sizes, and even giant sizes that have probably been growing for about 8 years. These ones have not fruited yet and are unlikely to do so in here. They have to be about a decade or so before they get to that age. We do have some fruits in here though. Kind of unusual to find in New Jersey at this time, but we actually have fruiting banana trees. And when they ripen, they do actually taste pretty good. Yeah, this is the flower here. So every 1 to 2 weeks or so, a new petal of the flower will open so that it can be pollinated. And then a new set of bananas will grow out from the top there. And then they ripen up and then just eat them. You could bring it outside in spring or summer, but then in the winter time, you really want to bring it inside so it gets heat and sunlight. Otherwise, it'll go dormant, it won't grow as quickly, and it definitely will not flower or fruit. But if you want it to flower or fruit, just keep it for a long time. Let it grow tall, let it get all the sunlight it needs, and it'll give you bananas. Bananas aren't the only fruit that we grow in-house. We also have all of our citrus varieties, like this grapefruit here. We have lemons, limes, tangerines, oranges, pretty much any citrus plant that you can think of. They do really great in bright sunny spots in the home, so if you want to have it out on your porch spring and summer, you can bring it inside, put it near a window, and it can still fruit for you over the winter. When they're not fruiting, the citrus plants give off these beautiful blooms that are really fragrant too. So they actually fill this whole section of the store with like a really sweet perfume, which is really nice. They've got these awesome clusters of white and yellow and pink flowers, which are really nice to look at. Moving right along, we have the plant killer's favorite plant. This is the snake plant. It comes in all different colors, varieties, but the best thing about this is if somebody says, I keep killing all my plants, I always steer them towards the snake plant, because you can forget to water this thing for a month or so and it'll be a-okay, just as long as you do remember to soak it eventually. It grows pretty tall if you give it the space to do so. You get all sorts of fun colors with it. You've got the silver of the moonshine. You can get something like the Sanseveria jaboa, which has a lush deep green, or a Yellowstone, which will give you way more yellow in the leaves. And then the classic Zeylanica, which will give you just a white and green stacked appearance to it, which is really cool. We also have tons and tons and tons of Fiddle Leaf Fig right now. A lot of the dwarf Fiddle Leaf Fig, so if you don't want a massive tree in your home, this is a really great option. The leaves stay really small, it grows at a slower rate, and it tends to be a lot bushier than a typical Fiddle Leaf Fig. Great for right nearby a window. These plants like a lot of sunlight, and if you prune it and keep it small, it'll widen out instead of being columnar, so it's pretty versatile as a plant. Everyone's favorite office plant, the Ficus benjamina, otherwise known as the weeping fig. This is another pretty popular plant for those who are houseplant averse because it doesn't need that much care. As long as you're remembering to water it, it doesn't like to dry out completely, and giving it enough sunlight. So near a window, maybe a corner right nearby a window would be perfect for one of these. Over this side, we've got our Bromeliad selection. This one's actually starting to flower here, which is pretty exciting. These are actually a cousin of air plants, so they do absorb a little bit of water through their leaves. They're also a cousin of pineapples, so their main goal is to gather all the water towards their center. So if you water it under the sink, all the water will run down the leaves towards the center of them, keep them well hydrated. They do like to stay pretty wet. They really don't want to dry out. And if you take enough care of them and give them enough light, they will flower for you. Actually, we have a couple flowers on this side over here. They give you some pretty vivid colors too. We got a really nice pink and purple going on with this one. Every so often, it'll shoot up a stalk of flowers, which give you this really cool, they almost look like they're from another planet, these flowers. And then once they're finished there, these tiny buds are going to open up as well. So you can see a little bit of white pollen come out too. Really, really interesting plant. Another great example of these bromeliad flowers, this one has actually been going for a couple weeks now. I think we're going on week 3 or 4, which is pretty awesome that you get to enjoy it this long. But again, beautiful, vibrant purple, pink flowers, almost alien looking, and they come out of this really nice neon green plant. Gives you a nice pop of color. Honestly, a showstopper. It's really beautiful. Here's some of our succulent selection. We've got things like Orchids, Echeveria, aloe plants, all sorts of string varieties, all different sizes, small, medium, large, some that have been growing for a couple of years too. Some of our smaller succulents can also be used to create small gardens, such as these cute little rock gardens, or even glass terrariums are a great option for them. We also carry everything you need to build terrariums or make your own decorative houseplant planters. So if you need anything like decorative mosses, some nice stones, even little fairy garden pieces, we have all of that here. This is our terrarium supply section. This is where you can get every container, every variety of moss, stone, different types of glassware, so you can build your own terrarium. We even have a section of small miniature terrarium plants that you can pop in there. Terrariums are a great option for if you have limited space but still want green in your life. This is our terrarium plant section, so you can get all varieties of little 2-inch tall plants to keep in a small space. These plants really like to be kept together. They like humidity, so they're perfect for popping in a glass terrarium. So you got all sorts of wonderful things like Tradescantia, some really nice peperomia, some beautiful little ferns, all miniature size so that you can keep a small little ecosystem in your home. You got little cypress. We even have cooler ones too, like these lemon cypress, which actually, if you pet them, give off a lemon fragrance. It's really nice. We also have little Fittonia, otherwise known as a nerve plant because of the very visible vein structure in the leaves there. These ones are actually a really good indicator plant if you pop them in your terrarium. When you notice them start to wilt, you know it's time to water. They're very dramatic, so if they wilt, they're not dying, they just need water. Give them some water, they'll pop right back up. We also have a really nice selection of peacock mosses. These are really nice spread out looking plants that help to add sort of like a fuzzy texture to your terrarium. They're super soft too. We also have smaller varieties of ferns too, like this little rabbit foot fern, which actually, if you can see, is peeking out one of its little rabbit feet. And this one here is a heartleaf fern, named appropriately, I'd say. This here is our fairy garden section. This is where we keep all sorts of figurines like real estate, accessories, little fairies, their pets, so you can create your own fairy garden. A lot of people like adding them to terrariums or just making their own miniature planting, so it's like a little piece of magic in your home. Really cute stuff. Norfolk Island pine is another holiday favorite. These beautiful indoor plants really love bright, sunny areas, so the more light that you give them, the bigger they get. We have a lot of them in these small pots there, but we also have some more mature sizes too. So if you want to fill a larger area or even have a reusable Christmas tree, these are a great option for something by a sliding door or in a sunroom. The more light that you give them, the bigger and faster they will grow. And they like to kind of umbrella out, so they have these beautiful long drapes to their fronds. Really nice. We also have a huge selection of air plants in store. Contrary to popular belief, they do need something besides air. They need water. All plants do need water. So usually a misting once a week is good. Other people prefer to fill their sink either with water or rainwater is best. Rainwater is their favorite. But if you fill a sink, just dunk them upside down so not too much water gets in between their leaves, and then take them out, shake them off, and let them dry. They'll absorb that moisture and they'll be happy for the rest of the week. Weekly is usually best for these. A lot of people don't know that. They let them go for a couple months, then they try to water them. They're not sure why it's not accepting it. because they do need routine watering. This is our new and interesting Philodendron zone. This is where we keep all of our new arrivals. So things like the Swiss cheese, ever popular. And then even more trendy than that, we have things like Thai constellation Monstera. No one had really seen a Monstera with this much variegation to it before. It's speckled with stars, giving it that name Thai constellation. And as it grows up, it will eventually get split leaf to it as well. It can turn into a massive plant. And you can see that variegation actually goes all the way up from the stem into the leaf. So it's not just the leaves that are variegated, it's the entirety of the plant. These ones are definitely one of our more popular sellers here. This is a Philodendron lemon lime. Its care is pretty simple. You want to just give it a deep, thorough watering about once a week. These do like more water, but again, they prefer to dry out in between waterings. Best way to check the moisture on a philodendron is just to test the soil. You could either stick your finger in or take a chopstick and poke it into the soil. If it comes back dry, water your plant. If it comes back damp or with dirt sticking to the chopstick, your plant's okay, as long as you remember to water it the next week after that. You don't want to give them too much water. You want them to be able to breathe in between waterings because plants absorb oxygen through their roots. So if you're constantly watering them, they're kind of drowning. They can't really breathe through all that. So you want to give them sort of a rest between water. These are Calathea here. Some plant people are a little scared when taking care of them because they can be a little more finicky, but as long as you follow some basic rules, you'll be okay in taking care of them. First up, you want to keep it out of direct sunlight. You want it in a bright spot, but you don't want any direct rays to hit the leaves because they can burn. Even moving it further away from a window is a great way to shield it from direct light while still giving it the brightness that it needs. Second rule that you really want to follow is do not overwater these. If your Calathea is staying soggy, if its roots are sitting in water for extended periods of time, that's when you're going to get burnt edges, that's when you're going to get leaf die-off. It's really what they don't like. So what you're going to want to do is let them dry out at least an inch down, not too far, just an inch. Check on them once weekly is the best way to approach that. And then give them a thorough watering, let them drain out all the way so they're not sitting in any extra water, and then repeat in about another week. Third rule is that these really like routine. So you don't want to go a week without watering them and then rush and remember to water them and overwater them. And just if you sense how long it's taking for them between watering, follow that routine and they'll really appreciate it. They'll give you tons of new foliage and they'll grow happily in your home. Wonderful things such as the white star Calathea. We have the dotty Calathea. We also just got a ton of these white fusion Calatheas in, which are really cool. The contrast between the green and white in here is so stark, so you get this really awesome display of foliage. You want to take a look there. And give it enough light and care, it'll also get pops of purple in there too. We also have our Aglaonema section. These plants love to give all sorts of varieties of leaf shape and color. So you could get typical Chinese evergreen is the common name for this one. Also got the Aglaonema rice, which has really long, slender leaves to it. Again, with that awesome white and green contrast in there. Really, really pretty. This is the red cyan. This is a really cool one if you want to add some color to your collection. Its leaves come with this red bordered all around the edge there, and then it has one red vein coming straight down the middle. And then the stems of it are that luscious pink color too. Really does not need a lot of direct sunlight. You can keep this in a shadier spot in your home and it'll do just fine. Or if you give it lots of sunlight, it'll give you way more color, way more foliage. It's a very versatile plant. This is a Aglaonema sparkling Sarah. It's going to be a lot lighter down the middle there, again with the stems being pink, but this one is going to be sparkling with a lot of lighter variegation throughout the leaves. Again, another great plant for not right in a window, but nearby. You can put it in a shadier corner in the home and it'll be just fine. I just want to show you this really cool one that we got recently. This is the tiny dancer Alocasia. So a lot of its plant growth is focused on the base and the stems there. And if you see, it has these tiny cup-shaped leaves where it gets its name because they sort of dance above the plant. They do actually serve a function though. Each one of these acts like a little cup. So when rain falls, it gets cupped into there and then drizzles down the plant into the reservoir towards the base of the plant. A lot of these plants grow to gather water towards themselves. So it's really interesting to see how each different plant approaches that. We also have everyone's favorite, the Amazonica poly. This one is beautiful with that really, really dark foliage. It almost looks black when you look at it from far away. And then it has really bright veins going down the center there. So it almost looks like a mask. It's really cool. Hoya. We've got Hoyas, all sorts. We've got rope Hoyas. This is a Wayeti. This one's really pretty. Hoya is a great one if you want something in your windowsill, kind of like a succulent. They love a lot of sunlight, and the more sunlight you give them, the more they will reach out for it. As you can see, they love to vine, and if you take good enough care of your Hoya, it'll eventually flower for you. And they have these really awesome star-shaped clusters of flowers that, depending on the variety, can give you like a light honey scent. I would say it usually takes anywhere from 3 to 4 years for them to flower, but each Hoya is different, which can sometimes be frustrating and other times be pretty cool, because you might have a Hoya that doesn't flower, doesn't grow, doesn't do anything for a couple years, and then out of the blue, it'll just do all of that at once, and it'll be the most exciting moment in your life that year. Mine just did that after about 5 years of looking exactly the same, not doing anything, and then all of a sudden it started shooting out vines, it grew flowers, and I was like, this is the proudest day of my life as a parent. So it was pretty neat, pretty neat. These are some of our peace lilies. Peace lily is a great option if you want something that can take varying amounts of light. Either a bright indirect spot or even lower light spots work pretty well for these. And they're not too fussy. They just do need to be watered. You gotta make sure that you're watering them at least once a week so they don't dry out completely. Otherwise they do get a little droopy and they'll let you know that they really need a drink. They can be grown to have these beautiful white flowers on there, giving their name lily, or they can also be grown for their foliage as well, such as these dominoes here, which have a really cool variegated speckle effect to them. These are our Anthurium. These are a great option if you want something with a show-stopping flower indoors. They come in all varieties of color, like this awesome streaked pink color. The white is typically one of the more popular ones, along with the reds. We also have some really cool new colors in, like this really, really deep burgundy that came in recently. These are a great option for bright indirect light. They can tolerate shade a little bit more, but if you put it in a shadier spot, you might not get it to flower again. So the more light you give it, the more chance there is that it'll reflower once it's finished. Here in the greenhouse, we've got tons of varieties of Pothos. This is one of my favorites to suggest to the new plant parent because it's so versatile as a plant. You get more interesting varieties like the Marble Queen, more common varieties like the Emerald or Golden, and it comes in so many different sizes, like these small potted varieties, the hanging ones, totem varieties that have been growing for probably a decade at least with how big those leaves are. Just a great plant all around. It can take bright light, dim light, overwatering, underwatering. It's really forgiving as a first plant. So whenever someone's new to the scene, this is what I go with for them. Sometimes it can be a little confusing for people to tell a philodendron apart from a pothos, which is understandable. I mean, when you see them side by side, they're very, very similar in terms of leaf shape. One of the easier ways to tell is on a philodendron, wherever you see a leaf connecting to a vine, there's usually going to be the remnant of a little petal. And what that does is that grows out when a new leaf is coming to sort of protect the new growth. Pothos does not have that tiny little petal coming out. So if you're unsure whether it's a pothos or a philodendron, just look for a tiny petal where the leaf connects to the vine there. We've also got great selections of orchids in here that rotate almost monthly. You never know what you're gonna see when you walk in. You could get something awesome like these really tall Oncidiums that have huge sprays of flowers. We also have everybody's favorite Phalaenopsis orchids. These are pretty easy grow and can give you multiple blooms of flowers. Once the stalk dies, you can actually just trim it wherever you see like a little bud forming on the stem, and it might actually do it again for you, which is pretty neat. Yeah, we've got orchids in all different varieties and colors, from really big ones, really small ones, anything that you need to add some color, some floral interest into your home. We've got tons of topiary plants in store, which are really nice to put in the center of a table, use as a centerpiece, or you can keep them in your kitchen because a lot of these are going to be rosemary or lavender, which will be great in baking. I think we even had some tarragon ones as well. And if you need some clothing for your plants, we've got tons of pots in store too, so you can accent them nicely. Thanks for taking a tour through our greenhouse today. My name is Ike. I'm here at Bountiful Gardens in Ewing, New Jersey. We've got everything you need, from tropical foliage, outdoor plants, perennials. Even if you just need a break from the cold outside, this is a great place to find your inner peace. So stop by, ask me any questions. I'm pretty much always in here, and be sure to plant more.